So, welcome to the course in CAD design and 3D printing. So, first off, we're doing the bolt washer nut exercise listed here. You can find it on the Padlet. Beginning the course day, let's create a new project. If you don't have the data panel visible, you just hit this button here. Then create new project. Let's call it Biomedical Design CAD. And a new project will be created. I'll double click this in just a second once it's loaded. And now we're inside this folder ready to save our document. So the first step is to create a bolt. We've done the new document that's defaulted in the opening of the Fusion. So now we just need to create a component named bolt. In order to create a component, you right click the header, select new component. We call this bolts and hit OK. And now you can see I get a new component named bolt. It defaults to drawing in this component by highlighting this little dot to the right. So we're ready to draw it. When we're going to 3D print stuff, we like to have the Z-axis going up because that conforms to the printer's orientation. So when I hit create sketch, I'll typically use the XY plane down here. Next, we need to create a polygon, like specified here. We need a polygon with an edge size of 10 and a height of 4. So I'll hit create polygon, circumscribe polygon, and hit the origin as the center in order to lock my geometry in place. So then I just draw whatever I like outwards. First off, I'd like to have one of the sides being vertical or horizontal. We can do that by hitting this constraint and just hitting one of the sides, and now that one's horizontal, indicated by this icon. Then I hit the D button in order to perform a dimension, and I set this one to be 10 millimeters in length. That's it. I hit finish, and next I hit E for extrude, and it has to be a height of 4 millimeters conforming to the specs outlined here. So now we've got a polygon with a side length of 10 and a height of 4 millimeters. Next up, we need a cylinder with a height of 20. So I'll hit the top of the polygon. Again, remember to orient according to the Z-axis. So hit the top, I hit create sketch, and now I'm drawing on top of the polygon from before. Hit C for circle, or hit the circle up here. Again, hit the origin, and then I just draw a circle. This circle should be 8 millimeters in diameter and 20 millimeters high. So 8 millimeters in diameter, hit finish, hit extrude for E, and 20 millimeters high, and now I've got this bolt. Next up, we needed some fillets, so we had a 1 millimeter fillet down here and a 2 millimeter fillet up here. So hit F for fillet, click the bottom one and say this should be 1 millimeter. Then I hit this one, and this should be 2 millimeters. And then I hit OK, and we've got the bolt all done. Next up, we will be creating the washer. So now we need a new component named washer. Hit the top, say new component. I'd like a washer. Oh, sorry. And hit OK. And you can see this one turns transparent, stating that we're not in the bolt component. Now we're in the washer component. So first off, we need a sketch. We sketch this one on top of the bolt, using that as a reference. So hit sketch, hit the top of the polygon, and again we'll create a circle by C, hit the origin, and this circle should be 16 millimeters in outer length and 9 millimeters in inner length. So 16 millimeters in outer length, and another circle, and actually I can hit a dimension while I'm drawing it. So if you just click in the center, draw it out, and then before doing anything else, just hit 9 and press enter. Then I get an automatic circle with that dimension. Hit finish, and now I can extrude whatever's between the two circles, hitting E, clicking it, and extruding this 1 millimeters, conforming again to the specs here. So next off, we need to define the joints connecting the various components. So we've got a joint button up here in the assembly section. Because we created two independent components, they're not locked in relation to the mother component, the one named up here. So first off, we actually need to lock the bolt itself into place. So in order to do that, I'll hit the joint. I'll rotate so I can see the bottom of the bolt, and then I'll just hit this middle part of the top of the bolt. That one I'd like to lock to the origin. So by default the origin is hidden, so I can make it visible, and then I can hit this little origin. Then I need to set the motion type. At the moment I've got it set to cylindrical, so I can move up and down in relation to that. That's not what I want here. I want it rigid. This one should stay right there. So I can't move the bolt. I'll be able to move the washer and the nut. Next off, just hide the origin again. Next off, I'd like to move the washer in a motion that's defined by the cylinder. So again, I'll hit the joint. And this time I'll hit the inside of the washer and the outside of the cylinder. Then I'll perform a cylindrical motion. That means this one can move up and down cylindrically. And that's basically what I wanted. I can also set some limits on that. I'll not do that right now, so I can't move it beyond the polygons. But this is basically what I wanted. So now I've got a washer and a nut. Next off, we'll need the bolt. Sorry, the nut. So again, we need the nut. This has also, corresponding to this one, 10 in the length, 4 in the height, and 8 as an inner hole diameter. So let's create that one. Another component. We'll name this one nut. And we'll need a new sketch. We'll create this one on top of the polygon. Because we've moved things around, it'll ask whether or not to accept this position or revert to the default. We'll just capture the position, no problem at all. And either I could draw the polygon again, but you might notice that 10 and 4 are actually the dimensions up here. So here I'll actually do a P for project and take this entire geometry and project it into my design. Also, I'd like the 8 millimeters, so I'll hit that one as well, the inner circle. This one was 9, this one was 8. And now I've copied this geometry into my existing design by hitting OK. So if I hide the bolt and washer, you can see what I copied was actually the outer edge and the 8 millimeter inside. So I'm happy with that. I'll hit finish and E for extrude. If I only click this one, that would correspond to the 9 millimeter outline. So I actually need to hit both profiles in order to get both to extrude. And this should be extruded 4 millimeters in height. I'll just show the bolt and washer again. And you can see now I've actually got the geometry I wanted. We still need to fix it. So hit the joint, hit the inner surface and the outer surface. And it's still set to a cylindrical motion. So I will be able to move this up and down and demo that I can actually screw this one on and off. As I told you before, this one is transparent. That's simply because we're not in that component. But if we go to the high level of the document, everything will be visible. And now I can actually demo and screw this one on and off, move the cylinders around. So now I can move them up and down and display stuff, but I'd also like to lock them so they can't actually pass over each other. In order to do that, I'll need to go into the joints, and the first cylindrical one was the one with the washer. If you open that one up, you can see two things, namely the slide and rotate stuff. So hit this little button, edit motion limits on the slide, and this window will pop up. Here I can specify a minimum. This is by trial and error. I found out that minus 8.5 corresponding to the center of the cylindrical part. This was 20 millimeters high. The washer is 1 millimeter high, and this corresponds to minus 8.5. If you set it to minus 7, for instance, you can see that the washer floats on top of the polygon. Set it to minus 9. You can see it begins to drop into the polygon. So just basically trial and error, find the right one, minus 8.5. That means it can just hit that surface and not exceed it. Maximum wise, I'll hit that one and say how high should I be able to move it. Let's say that this one to 12 millimeters. So this is the maximum position I can move it. So just over the bolt and hit OK. In that case, I'll just be able to move this one up and down. Next off, we'll need the nut. I'll expand the cylindrical 3 and again hit the edit motion limits in the slide section. And the minimum here will be set to, let's try minus 4. So you can see there's just a little bit of space, probably half a millimeter, so minus 5 seems to be okay. And a maximum of, let's say 15 millimeters, so we'll again be able to go up off the cylinder. And now we can move this one up to there and down to there and just illustrate what we want the bolt to do. Finally, we'll hit Command S or Control S and save it under the bimetrical section of my workflow. So, bolts, washer, nut. And that concludes the exercise.